Thanks for tuning in, guys. Today we talk to a freelance videographer. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We took a little bit of a hiatus, but we're back. And we're back with a very unique and interesting guest, which has been about 19 years in the making. I've known my next guest for, well, over 19 years, which is ironic because he is a little over 19 years old. I'm interviewing my firstborn son, Rev, also known as Rev Rozell. And I brought him on here. He's about to go out of town for the winter. He's headed to Utah, but I brought him on here because he's doing some pretty cool stuff in the videography and photography realm. And wanted to chat with him. So this is a special time. Not only is it my son, but it's also the first time we've done an in-person interview. All the other podcasts have been over the phone, and now I'm with Rev sitting in our attic in Texas. We're going to have a conversation. Rev, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dad.
It's an honor. It's an honor. We've been wanting to do this for a while, and it took...
Got a lot of requests for this one.
We got a lot of requests. A lot of requests for this one. So we'll jump right into it. Rev, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you.
Glad you made some time for this. You've always been a big supporter of the podcast. But let's do a little introduction, Rev. So full disclosure, Rev is all over the place with interests and talents and opportunities and possibilities. So for this little segment, we're going to focus on the videography aspect of what he does.
Yeah.
Give us a little introduction, Rev. Who you are, kind of what you do in the videography, photography space, and how long have you been doing it for?
Yeah. First, can you hear me all right? I'm watching my levels over there. Maybe turn me up a little bit.
Yeah, you good. I got you.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Rev Rozell. I'm from Denton, Texas, born and raised. I am 19 years old. I consider myself a freelance videographer, specifically in the car scene, car world, automotive culture world here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I don't limit myself to Dallas-Fort Worth. I can get into that a little bit more, but I've traveled a lot over the past year just because videography and photography have taken me a lot of places. I've been doing photography since I was 7 years old, and that kind of started the love for photography. And over the past 3 years, I've gotten into the video world, which I could talk about more. But I've been doing video for the past 3 years, I guess.
All right. Very cool. I remember you as a young lad always being interested in that.
I'd always run around with mom's camera, taking it on trips and taking it to the park and taking photos of my Legos when I was a kid.
Yeah. And it's cool to see you kind of monetize that a little bit too, make some money, because you are talented. Yeah, you got, and we can get into that. So you started when you were 7, just messing around with the Canon handheld camera. 3 years ago, what was the catalyst for the transition into the video / automotive scene?
Yeah, so I started doing photography when I was 7. I've always had a love for just taking pictures, and did some classes through our homeschool co-op / private school. My middle school and high school years, I did a photography class and just kind of fell in love with it even more, just learning the basics of operating a camera, shot composition, camera settings, getting out with different cool lights and messing around with friends, and would take a lot of pictures of like smoke bombs here at the house, which was fun. Mom and Dad always loved that. So I kind of started with photography, and that kind of just led me into, being creative, meeting a lot of cool people. I remember when I got my driver's license, I started going to some like local car shows and doing car pictures and stuff. I did that for about 3 months and kind of was like, man, like I've gained some connections. I've met a lot of really cool people at these car shows. And take in mind, these are just little Saturday car shows out in South Lake. People would bring their nice cars out. This is kind of when the scene was getting pretty big in DFW, because there was a point where they started doing these little car shows and car meets, and more cars would come out, and other collections and private collectors would bring their cars out. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this existed in Dallas. And then people started just taking photos and doing videos of them. But I would say, and I did photography for about 3 months, and I was like, man, like I want to there's definitely a business out here, and I want to make money, and I want to stand out. And I've always kind of been interested in video, because video, you can be more creative. You can do a lot more things with it than photography and then posting it. There's a lot of different aspects and ways you can go around it. And I kind of had a love for that. So I talked to one of my buddies, and she also did a photography class with me, and kind of she was the teacher. Her name was Savannah. Shout out to Savannah. And I was like, hey, like I think there's a market for video, especially in Dallas. Like, not a lot of people are doing videos of cars. And she was like, yeah, you should definitely get into that. So I bought a little, I upgraded cameras, I guess 2 years ago, and kind of just started messing around. I mean, I've always kind of done videos with GoPros, and Uncle Matt's always been a big supporter and, taking me out to fly drones. And
shout out Uncle Matt.
Shout out Uncle Matt, flying drones, giving me old GoPros to mess around with, giving me opportunities to film football and stuff. So I kind of knew what I was doing in video, but I didn't have the creative mindset. I didn't know how to do shots and stuff. I took a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of practicing, a lot of messing around with editing softwares. I taught myself how to use all the Adobe programs and all sorts like that. And this is, take in mind, this is when I was 16 years old, so not a lot of kids were doing that those days. But long story short, I think, yeah, that's kind of how I got into video, I guess. If that, I can't remember the question.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. There's a couple things I want to hit on. So talk to me about, you said you made some connections. What does that mean, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so when I went to these car shows, of course, there's a lot of really cool guys out there, a lot of entrepreneurs who brought their cars to like display and stuff, and I would just meet them. Little 16-year-old Rev, like just talking about their cars and stuff. And eventually that kind of did lead to, hey, yeah, you want to come take some pictures of this car or whatever. But it more led to, just meeting people. And then eventually I met the owner like of the car shows. His name was Steven. And he kind of started using my pictures for like advertising, which kind of got me a little bit of business. And at this point, this is just a hobby. Like, I wasn't really looking to make a lot of money in this. I was just like, oh, I'm free on Saturdays. I love cars. I love bringing my camera around, like, so we get some cool pictures, and Dallas is definitely the spot to do that. So I kind of started just, meeting people and kind of becoming a familiar face at these car shows, and that kind of led me to me meeting my buddy Jack, and he's kind of been a big help, just meeting people and kind of getting connected with the right people in the car scene, and because there's a lot of people out there that you don't know, and it helps to definitely meet those people, I guess, and I met Jack and he introduced me to this guy, then this guy introduced me to this guy, so definitely being friendly and kind of getting out of your comfort zone, and even just having a conversation with somebody, you never know where that could lead. So those are kind of the connections I made, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. So one of my questions I ask the guests is the qualifications and how does it take to get qualified. So in your space, there's a lot of creativity and I guess exploration, and just like you said, messing around on the software application stuff without any formal education other than just the little homeschool co-ops and stuff. I would imagine you find, as you're messing around, you kind of develop your own kind of style. Mm-hmm. That on Instagram, you see it on YouTube and stuff. So where do you get your inspiration, or how do you develop your own unique style?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think personally for me, I have a deep love for turning something. I have a deep love for like restoration, and I think I love the process of taking something kind of boring and turning that into something beautiful. An example of that is I have a deep love for like color grading, and that's one way I stand out, especially on social media and Instagram right now and over the past year and a half. And that's kind of how I've gotten a bunch of business, is you standing out in that way. But to define color grading, you shoot in different color profiles on your camera, and there's a whole creative process on how you take what your camera shot and how you export that to the final product. It's just like editing photos on your iPhone. You're tweaking a little bit, making it the temperature a little bit cool, a little bit warmer. But I have a deep love for kind of standing out in that way and making something beautiful. I kind of classify my work as little movies almost. They kind of look like little movie trailers. They're not just little videos you shoot on a camera. They kind of, I mean, people have told me they stand out a lot in the way of how it looks cinematic and stuff. And I think a lot of the inspiration I get and the way I've kind of developed my style is definitely from movies and seeing other people's work and saying, man, I love that look. How do I recreate that? And how do I make that my own? And it's a lot of learning and tweaking and getting different like plugins for your editing software and seeing what works and what doesn't, and getting other people's feedback and seeing seeing kind of what people like, and then also saying like, man, like I like this and I want to stand out in this way. So
yeah, that's interesting. You know, you and I have talked about this, social media, the propensity for it to just be an echo chamber where there's really, you're just surrounding yourself with people who like what you do and comment and stuff with likes and whatever. When you said feedback, the feedback you're talking, is that mainly just, hey, if I post this video, I get more of a response, so I'm going to kind of take that as people like it? Or are you actually seeking out and getting like constructive criticism on some of the stuff that you're making?
I think definitely leaning more towards the first one of seeing what videos do well and what people like. I think I love getting constructive criticism, but I also think it's cool to find the balance of like, man, like this is my style. This is kind of what I'm going for, and not necessarily comparing it to others and asking, you know, whatever blank, like, hey, like, what do you think of this video? Like I think it's great. Like, I think that's something that has been hard for me in learning that balance of like, how do I explain this? I'm happy with my work, if that makes sense. And not, I don't really compare my work to others just because like I like my style and I kind of want all my videos to kind of be, you know, like these cinematic little movie things. So I think definitely a big part is seeing kind of what does good on the algorithm. And
what let's kind of transition to the business money side of it. So from what I understand, just talking with you and seeing your stuff right now where you're at, and this is more of a part-time job for you, I would say. You're not doing this full-time. Part-time, you're dealing mainly with the individual owners of the vehicles and not necessarily companies or businesses. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. And I guess brands too. And then I've jumped around a little bit too. Now I'm filming jets and filming conferences and doing other stuff outside the automotive stuff, just because I've kind of made a name for myself. But yeah, I think I'm mainly dealing with the owners. If someone wanted to maybe start doing this, take it to the next level and maybe make a career out of it. Have you thought about that mainly for you, or what would you have to do, or what would it take to kind of become a little bit more stable in your salary and kind of lean on freelance videography as a career? What does that transition look like? I think for a while I wanted to do this full time in the automotive scene, but over the past, I guess in the past year, I've kind of branched out more and have gotten more comfortable with shooting different things. Like I was out in Georgia shooting some videos for a company that takes like CRJ 200s. I think that's what they're called. Like, little American Airlines jets, strips out the interior, then turns them into very, very nice private jets. Went out there and shot some videos for them, which was fun just to branch out, you know, because I know how to shoot cars. Like I know, I've gotten to the point where like I know how to shoot a car, but I think if you branch out and you're shooting different things, and again, in all this, you're meeting new people, you're learning how to do different things, which that can tie into cars. Like, for example, I'm going down to Houston Thursday, shooting a conference for a guy, a teacher conference, and I'm learning a lot about like solving problems, like I've had to build a story because every video has a story. And I think I'm learning a lot on how to, where this guy, he has a problem with his business he's running, and making a video explaining there's a problem, how do I fix it? And that can, relay back into cars and tell a story, stuff like that. So I think branching out definitely helped me out a lot.
As you've kind of been around and seen what companies and branding, what they're looking for, Is there a certain educational tract, or we've always talked about the guys that film the Red Bull stuff. That's kind of probably the tier 1 videographer stuff, that adventure sports stuff. What kind of qualifications do those guys have? What are these companies looking for when they start hiring some of these videographers? Because it seems like the trend is everything's pushing to social media, Instagram and TikTok and short little blurbs, which is what you're doing.
Yeah.
How do guys get into that field?
I've done a little bit of research on it. I think having a college degree helps. I think you can learn a lot whenever film school or something. I'm not really sure how people get into that field, but I do know what brands are looking for these days are like how can I benefit from your video, and kind of having that mindset of brands are wanting to stand out. They're wanting to do more stuff because, you can look at different trends and, someone's done that. There's a lot of, I guess, people who are copying and kind of doing the same video trends a lot. And I think a lot of brands right now, especially, Red Bull sticks out a lot because they do so much different things. What's interesting about Red Bull and their marketing is they never videoed a product. You can go on their social medias and there's not one video of a Red Bull can.
Interesting.
Which I think is interesting. So I think they look for videographers who stand out.
Yeah.
Which I don't think there's really a solution on how to stand out. It just goes back to kind of your style and
what they like, or what fits their brand.
What fits their brand, right?
Kind of going back to the automotive side of it.
Yeah.
What you meet these people, you start making connections, networking, and some guys like, hey, come. I want you to film my car, whether for personal or, you partner up. You've what do you call it? Collabed with 7-Eleven and some other different brands and stuff.
Yeah.
How much you get paid for that? Ballpark. You don't have to break it down, but what does a job like that pay?
Yeah, it's a good question. It kind of depends on a couple of my deciding factors are how far am I driving. Driving's a big part because my truck gets such bad gas mileage. But
shout out Tacoma.
Shout out Toyota. Yeah, I think for me the deciding factor is a big thing for me is driving. How far am I going for this? How much time does this take up? How much editing time does this take up? What does the client envision? And then a big thing for me is how do I benefit from this video? Because there's a lot of ways. For example, guy comes to me with a very nice Bugatti. He says he wants a video. Well, I already know that I can get a lot of views if I post that video, because my thing is like I own all that video, and so does the client. So what I do a lot is I'll give him all the video footage. I'll make him whatever videos he wants, but I have that footage, so I can benefit from that. And then like another example is if a guy comes to me with a car that's cool, but like, man, like I'm not really gonna post it on my page. I'll charge them a little bit more just because I know I can't benefit from that. So if that makes sense. So I think a rough ballpark is I charge about $75 an hour for editing, and then anywhere from $400 to $800 a video shoot. So that's kind of ballpark range, but that's for automotive. For other stuff that's not, I'll charge a lot more for that.
Sure. These are more personal questions.
Yeah.
Kind of staying in line with the videography, automotive kind of scene and stuff. What's the best part of your job doing that? What do you enjoy most about it?
I think just getting to meet really cool people. Again, I've worked with 7-Eleven. I've worked with Quiet Racing, one of my favorite brands out there. I've worked with a lot of really cool young entrepreneurs and gotten to because when I do these video shoots, you're hanging out with the guys. So I hung out with this guy out in Colorado this spring who started the company that does all the audio for Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Oh, nice.
And then he also just started a construction business. And I think, like you mentioned before, I have a lot of interests. I've ran a couple of other businesses in the past, and I think getting advice from these people is priceless. And just hanging out, getting to ask them personal questions. I'm trying to think of anybody else cool I've met. who I've worked with. But yeah, I think that's my favorite part, is just getting to know people, getting to hear their story, asking them questions, being friendly, getting to shoot very, very nice cars. I know I've shot 2 Bugattis in Dallas, a Pagani, a lot of really rare motorcycles, and just kind of getting a first-hand look on all those, which is really, really cool.
Speaking of that, you've been around a lot of cool vehicles. What would be your dream car
to own?
Yeah, to own, to drive around.
GT3 RS Porsche.
Nice.
Or 930 turbo.
You filmed those before?
I've not filmed a GT3 RS, not yet. That's on the bucket list, but
okay. Well, okay, so yeah, so you're meeting a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
And the conversations transcend just the videography stuff. Y'all are making actually friendships and getting solid advice from guys that have actually created success for themselves, which is awesome.
Right.
What's the most challenging part of doing the videography stuff? I'll say this, maybe the most challenging and or most stressful thing.
I think most challenging is sometimes I get burnt out a little bit, and because sometimes I feel like I'm overworking myself, which I probably am, which is a hard balance, and it's been fun to learn. I think that's definitely hard, especially because I have a big passion in all this, and I don't want to lose that passion, which has been a very, very big, I guess, thing for me in the past couple of years. Is, man, like I love cars and I love motorcycles and I love filming. I don't want to lose that passion. So I think that's another reason I've kind of branched out a little bit, is just to get more familiar with other stuff. But I think that's probably the hardest part.
Yeah. I have this as a question that I ask all my guests, and it may or may not apply to you. I guess it doesn't, only because the question is, if you weren't doing this, what do you think you'd be doing? The reason I say that is because in a couple of weeks, you're headed off to Salt Lake City for the winter, and you're going to be working at a ski resort.
Yep.
A couple months ago, you were out in Missouri working at a Young Life camp, doing videography stuff. Before that, you were out in Colorado for a year hanging out.
Yep.
So I'm kind of, you're kind of answering my question. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? Because you're kind of all over the place. What are you most excited about going to Utah later this month?
Very excited just to get out of Texas, get to a new state. I had a lot of fun out in Colorado, kind of, because, going back, I mean, this is probably a longer story than I should say, but I mean, so I moved out to Colorado, and I wasn't really familiar with like the car or motorcycle scene, and I quickly got very connected in that scene just because, I'd practiced so much in DFW and nobody in Colorado was doing that. And I know out in Utah right now, there's 2 guys kind of doing what I'm doing, so I'm excited to get out there, have some friendly competition with them, make some cool videos. I've already met a couple guys who want to hire me for some stuff, so excited to get out there, meet some new people, definitely take advantage of the landscapes and the different mountains and roads and all sorts of stuff out there to film at, and make some cool content. And then working at a ski resort I'm very excited about, and to jump into some maybe ski snowboard content, which I think will be fun. So I know a guy out there who actually has a film like company that they specialize in doing film and snowboard stuff. So I'm going to link up with Cyrus.
Okay, Rev, if someone's listening to this and they're 40, or if they're 12 and they are interested in the scene and kind of what you're doing, what would your advice be for them to start getting involved in what you're kind of doing?
Pick something you love and just practice. Offer services for free for the first month or so. Meet people.
Break it down for me. If I don't know anything, and I feel like I want to film, what do I need? Entry level, and how much is it going to cost me? I need a camera.
It just kind of depends on how much you want to spend.
Well, I don't have hardly any money. How much? Well, let's just say, so you need a camera.
Yeah.
Probably need a smartphone.
Yeah.
You need a computer, and you need what, software?
Yeah, there's a lot of workarounds and free stuff out there. I think if you want to get into the video scene, and especially the car video scene, there's a lot of different ways you can go about that. You buy a camera, check Facebook Marketplace or eBay, spend $1,000, work for free for the first month or so, just building connections and getting experience. Because you can't just buy a camera and people aren't just going to hire you to do stuff. You have to stand out at some point too. Find a niche, find something you can stand out in, get really, really, really good at editing, and find something that you see on TikTok or some different style that you've seen and master that, because people will pay for something different.
Man, that's good advice.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Real quick, and then we'll kind of wrap up with the conclusions. So you talked about, kind of side comment to going out to Utah and having some friendly competition. Yeah. You've been doing this for 3 years ish. What is the competition like? Are guys territorial? Are they pretty cool, or are they jerks? If they feel like you're encroaching, or how does that work as far as competition, so to speak?
They're all pretty cool. Shout out to Jack for letting me tag along on some of his shoots. But
thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack. Shout out to last night and that GTR that we found. I think there's a lot of cool friendly competition. I mean, I love seeing other people's videos, and kind of seeing people progress. I think that's something really cool to see in anybody, is seeing where they were 1 year ago and where they are now. And I think, people are super friendly.
That's good.
Not really much to say about that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I just didn't know if it, if you got to start, carrying a knife with you when you show up to car meets, just in case, in case. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from doing the videography stuff?
I think videography stuff, definitely editing. And then the business side of it, figuring out how to charge for your work and figuring out how much you are worth. Very difficult. And I think, sure, it would have helped if I went to college and got a business degree, but I think if you fail, you're not going to learn. So I've failed a lot in the past and have messed up, and I've undercharged myself a lot, which I shouldn't have. And the only way you learn stuff is if you fail. So find as many opportunities where you can fail. That's how you're going to get good. And that's my answer.
How big of influence have your parents been on your videography journey? Shout out, Mom.
Shout out, Mom. Mom's not, how do I say this in the kindest way possible? Mom's not very active in the car social media scene. If it were up to her, I think she would live in a world with no social media. Because I think there is a balance too, because I'm sure I'm on social media mainly because of the reason of photography and posting my stuff, because that's kind of where my business is, which is a hard balance too, because that's, I'm messaging a lot of people each day about people who want to shoot with me and stuff like that. So that definitely takes some time. But Mom is supportive. She doesn't really get what I do, which I think is fair, but it's all right.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, she's supportive in the background.
Mom is very supportive. Dad's very supportive too.
Yeah, I remember
Dad loves it.
Driving your little bottom around 12 years old, filming jobs and stuff. So
yeah, no, that was
support you on the back end.
Parents are very supportive. They very encouraging. They have a very realistic mindset, which helps me out a lot.
There you go.
So they have good advice.
Speaking of that, you listen to anything, any books you recommend, professional or personal books, podcasts? What's on your Spotify playlist right now?
Oh my gosh. I think a book to read that I really enjoy, and you've read this, Dad, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Mm-hmm. I think I talked a lot about in this podcast, meeting people, making connections. I think a huge part of that plays into any business and any friendship and relationship is talking to people, asking good questions, being friendly, which I think, are we in the 21st? I guess in the 21st century, people need to work on that, especially young men. So I think How to Win Friends and Influence People, that was a great book. Read it once, read it twice. Actually read it once and then read it again and highlight stuff. That always helps me out a lot. But it's a great book, just talking about how to be friendly, how to ask good questions, which I think is not mentioned a lot in today's world, is how to ask good questions, which has helped me out a lot. Just, talking to people, and people love talking about themselves, which is another piece of advice. Ask questions about people because they love talking about themselves. That's how you get to know somebody. So that's been on my list. And then Joe Rogan. That's been interesting just to learn from him and hearing his guests. If you want to learn about running a business and entrepreneurial stuff, listen to the Joe Rogan, Elon Musk interviews. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them. Those are good.
Joe can ask good questions. He's a fantastic conversationalist.
Yes.
If you just listen and pay attention to his style, it's pretty interesting.
Yes.
One piece of advice in conclusion for all the listeners out there.
Piece of advice I would give is if you want to get good at something, you got to show up.
Show up.
Obsession beats talent every single day.
You believe that?
Maybe.
I don't know. It plays a big part.
I think, the big thing is showing up these days. If you show up, do the work, create something good, you'll be successful.
Nice. How do people find you, Rev? Where are you at?
Can find me. I think my Instagram is my name, Rev Rozell.
REV
ROZELL. Okay. And then you can email me at revrozell@gmail.com.
Okay. You got a website or anything?
Nah.
You can DM you, I guess.
You can DM me on Instagram, send me an email, check out my YouTube videos. Those have been popping off pretty good. YouTube's a good way of monetizing your stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we did it, Rev. We were 32 minutes in, knocked it out. I'm proud of you. I love you. I'm excited to see what God has for your life. I feel like even as a father, I'm learning from you. So keep up the hard work, keep showing up, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the information and found it worth your time. We're always on the hunt for guests who are passionate about what they do and want to talk about it. So if you think you'd be interested in coming on, or if you're curious about a profession and want to know more about it, hit us up. We'll do our best to accommodate. Our email is info@myjobpodcast.com. We look forward to connecting with you. Have a great day.